Hey everyone, welcome back to Art Studio 313. In this tutorial we are diving on hand painting and orange slice in Blender. If you have ever wanted to bring your models to life with beautiful hand painted textures, this is the perfect place to start. I'll guide you step by step from setting up the UVs to painting realistic details, all within Blender. For achieve a better result, I will use a graphic tablet. If you are new to Blender, make sure to check out my free Blender courses. The link is in the description. And if you want to master Blender like a pro, my paid courses with over 50 hours of lectures is waiting for you. Don't forget to hit the subscribe and turn on notification so you never miss a new tutorial. Let's jump in. First of all, we need some image references. For that, we open up Google and we type texture paint orange slice. Look for Stylized painted orange slice. Try to find images that match the style you want to achieve. You can download a few and use them as a guide while painting in Blender. I recommend using the PureRef for managing the image references. As I mentioned in the beginning of the video, it is good to use PureRef for your image references. Now you'll see that I have 5 different image references. This one is really interesting to me, and this one as well. So you can combine and just take a piece of each one. For example, the background for the floor, we can use this kind of painting. We can paint blue and dark blue together to get a very interesting floor. I already demonstrated a little bit in the texture painting, as you can see, and this is the result that I achieved. Let's open up a new Blender file. First, let's model the orange slice. For modeling, we can right click here on the boundary and we can join this area. We press Shift A and I like to bring an UV sphere. 32 looks fine. Let's look at it from this angle. We press 3 for face and hold down Alt and select these two. Hold down Alt and Shift then and select these two faces. Let's look at from top orthographic and we hold on Shift and drag these two as well. Then hold on Control and Numpad plus to select a little bit more. That's fine. And then let's go to press Z and we go to wireframe mode. Hold on Control, deselect this area. You can press W to choose the circle selection and hold on Control to deselect these faces. And now we selected this area. Press Control and I to inverse the selection, X to delete these faces. And now press 2 and W for selection to select the select box. Hold down Alt and select these edges around it. If extrude in Y axis, then S and X to make it flatten, then type 0. Once again we press S and Y, then type 0 to make it flatten. Then press 7, look at from top orthographic. Move these to make it straight. Now it's aligned. Let's rotate it in edit mode R, X and 90 degrees. And then let's move it up as well, G and Z. You have to press A for selecting all the geometry first and then move it in Z axis. Right click, shade out to smooth. I like to add a plane for the background and make it in edit mode. I like to make it bigger 3 times. For completing the rest, we have to go to UV editing. Once here, press 2 for edge and hold on Alt and then hold on Alt and Shift and select these 2 edges. Then right click and add margin. Now press A to select everything, press 3 for faces, then press U and go to unwrap and choose align base, and we will get this very interesting UV map. And then we have the UV unwrap. You can open it up and set it bigger margins such as 5, and the margin, if I just increase it, you will see this is the gap between each island. But I like to scale it down a little bit so that we can have a little bit of gap in the boundaries. And now we are ready to jump into the texture paint. So texture painting, it is been improved in Blender version 4.3 a lot, such as adding these very interesting brushes, make a little bit of room. I like to bring my image references here, so let's move the cursor here, and I like to drag it down like so, and I will change it to image editor because I like to drag and drop one of my image references. If I just try to paint, it's a missing material. That's because we have to go to the texture slots and assign a new texture. So let's click on this plus, and we need a base color. Of course, we can assign those to those other, but base color is what we need. We drag from top to bottom, star 4 because we want a 4K texture in width and height, and we have got it. We don't need an alpha. Let's set it to a believable texture, like an orangish color, and then we click on add, and then you will see we have added. So as soon as I add, you will see that the UV map is going to be bigger. That's because we added a 4K. Let's press T to move this from here, and then in the viewport we are in solid mode. As you can see, if I just press Z, we are in solid mode. Let's click here, and we want to set the lighting to flat. If you want, you can use cavity, so it is good to see where is the edges so they can paint easily. Now if I just try to paint, we can actually paint, and this is the default color in here that allows us to paint. And you will see that we are using a paint hard. So we have other things like this one, airbrush, and here we have these eraser that lets us to erase it. So let's press Ctrl and Z. Now let's change a few settings. We want to get a good brush, right? So this is the Blender brushes that we have here. So let's, for example, click this one and right click on it and duplicate the assets. Now I'd like to rename it to something else. Let's name it to 0.1 or 01 paintbrush, and then save it. And now we have this paintbrush, but the image preview we have to change it later. So here we have this setting. Let's close it so that it doesn't confuse. Later we will open it up. So here we have these settings. If I just close everything, first we have the brush assets, which allows you to choose whatever brush you need and the name of the brush. And then brush setting. So this is the most important part. We can play around with the radius by pressing F. We can make it smaller or bigger by pressing F. We can press Shift F to play around with the strength. Just look at here what is happening. Well, currently I'm using a mouse, and when I'm done with the brush setting, I will use the pen with a graphic tablet. So let's press Ctrl Z, and then we have the color picker. So here we can add color palette. We can click on new, And then we have the image reference here. And we can press Shift and X to sample color, and then we can click here to assign it. So let's sample a color. You can press Shift and X and then just left click to assign it in your color palette. So we need an orangish color, a white, dark white, and then a bright color. Let's press Ctrl Z. We don't like to paint here. So this color is enough. We can change the place or the order of this. Select this one, for example. And the order is fine, I believe. So this is the color palette that we created. Let's name it to Orange Slice. And why we can name it, that's because we can create multiple of these color palette, so that we can know what is what. So this one is for orange slice and this one for another things. Okay, so that's good to know. And then we have the other setting. We don't need to touch each of these. Let's go and open up the stroke, and we have the same setting here for the stroke. So for the stroke, we set it to space, which is fine. For the spacing, we can set it to 25. And for the fall off, so the rest is fine. For the fall off, we want to set it to constant. A very interesting brush setting that I learned from Craft Repair. This brush setting from this guy is very interesting. I will use it in this project. So how we can make these better? So let's open up the texture and we click here to create a new texture. We name it to, for example, cloud, so that we can know what is what. Cloud, for example, brush. And then we click here to jump to this texture. And here, the image type, we will set it to cloud. Soft is good, and the color, we want to set it to color and not gray scale. And the size, I set it to 5, and now we will get this very interesting shape. Just play around with the color. For the color, we open up the color and we close the cloud. And we want to set the brightness to 1.5 and the contrast to 0.9 and saturation to 0.8. And I will get a very interesting shape or brush preset. Now, how we can make it even better? Let's jump to the tools, and instead let's close the color picker and the texture. And now it's time to use a texture that we created already. So open up texture mask. We can name it to something else instead. Let's name it to, for example, 19, because I have a brush called for 19 paint brush, which is the brush number 19. And then we click here. Let's open up. I have a list of brush preset. And then let's go to the number 19. You can take a shot from this brush preset. With that being applied, now if I just try to paint, we will get this very interesting actually painting. We have to go to the tools once again and turn it, and then in the texture mask, make sure to set it to a random, and then click on a random as well. Now let's turn it off, and yeah, well, we get this very interesting painting. Of course, you can go to fall off at any time and change it to something else, like a sphere. But I found the constant works well. For graphic tablet, we need to enable the pen pressure for both strength and the radius. Now that we have everything set up, it's time for starting painting. So with this one, you can fill the color, and this is the mask, clone, smear, blur, and instead of using here, we can use the brushes that we have here. So let's select the paint, and we start from darker part from here, and then we later go to the just a bit brighter. So this is the darkest place, the shadows, of course. It is very. So let's press numpad slash to just focusing on this part. Then select this one, just make it. Make sure to grab it a few times. So this is the darkest part, as I said. Okay, that's about it. If I just paint here, I have to continue the rest as well. So instead of using this method, let's use the mirrors. So we can turn on X mirror and Y mirror. Now if I just paint a part, we can paint the rest one as well. But there is something that is missing. Let's choose this one, and now we can see it directly because I selected something else. And let's set it on painting. As you can see, if I just paint, we will get this kind of problem. That's because we have to rotate this part. So we can use actually Y in this case, but we can use X instead. Now let's grab this orange color and we try to paint it, and we try to blend those. So we start from darkest part, and now it's time for blend it with this brightest part as well. So we'll use it later, but now let's grab this one, press F to make it smaller. We can use 3 for looking from the right orthographic, and now we need to be a little bit precise. So we start from here, we press Shift and F, set the strength to 1, zoom a little bit, and now we need to work this way. So first let's press F to zoom a little bit. Just draw straight lines. We can use 4 and 6 to rotate it in order. Sometimes we need it. Okay, that's fine. And now it's time to press 3 again. Now it's time to use the white for the brightest parts. This is what we have got so far. And now we have to blend it further. Let's grab this. It's orange. And then we have to blend them a little bit better. In case if you want to make these lines smaller, you have to press Shift S to take a copy of the color's neighbor. Just make those thinner. Shift S, Shift X, and just draw. Now let's grab this yellow color and just paint. We can use lower strength. Just a little bit subtle effect of that we need. And you will see that we have it in other side as well. Let's press Shift S. And I like to work on this area. A very short promotion. If you want to master digital painting in Blender, my ultimate course takes you from beginner to pro with more than 50 hours of step-by-step training. Learn everything from texturing basics to advanced hand painting techniques. Check the link in the description. Press numpad / Now it's time for painting the floor. As you can see, I already demonstrated these very interesting floor painted, and I have another one which is painted with a different style and colors, but with the same method. Let's press Ctrl and space to minimize the viewport, and Ctrl space again will maximize it. I like to select the floor. It is selected. We go here and create a new base color by, let's divide it by 2 since it lags a lot, and add. It's a solid color. So let's start painting. Let's grab this very dark color very slightly with a very low strength, just paint a little bit. In this way you can draw outliner of the shadows. This is the outliner of our orange slice. And now we can press num// to work on it more. As I said, we start from the very dark. Shift and F move the strength to a higher level. And we start to paint very slightly first. Play around with the radius. Look at from top orthographic. Now let's combine the color with other colors. And as you can see, I will leave the darkest area as it is. So let's grab it again. And I will leave those places which the main object, which is the orange slice, will appear, will meet. We will leave it dark as it is. We can right click and make it even more darker, and then we can click here to assign it. Let's remove these few. And now we can grab it and make it even more darker. Just change your view and then paint around it slightly. Grab it by hitting a couple of times and then grab this one and paint over it. Of course, you can press Shift S and select this color around it and just mix it. Yeah, just try to blend them. Now let's press num// and we will see these the final result. But let's work on it a little bit. I like to drag this one and paint a little bit around this area. And Shift and S, paint on it again. Select it again. Sometimes I can't paint on it, and I think that's because the orange, so we have to hide it in order to paint, or we have to rotate the viewport to be able to paint. Okay, num// once again, and this is the result so far. And let's grab the orange slice. You can see we can paint on the edges to add even more interest to it. That's better to turn on cavity because it allows you to see where is the cavities or the edges. And then select the white color. And let's turn off cavity. And this is what you will get. After painting, you have to save your painted texture or UV texture that you painted on it. Otherwise, if you close Blender, you will lose it. So you will see the star has been gone, and that's mean that we have successfully saved that. And let's select this one as well and save that. Now let's go to layout. In the layout, we don't see the background or the floor. So let's go to shading, and here we have it. Because I already did some tests, so we have different actually base color. Let's see what is what. This is the final. Let's remove and connect this one to here. So in here we don't need any roughness, and specular, make sure to set it to 0. And let's do the same thing with this one. So here what we got. So different HDRI will gives us different results. This is the final result of our hand-painted slice, orange slice. Hope you'll learn something out of it. Of course, I will create more tutorial about hand painting in Blender.